Okay, so let's start with the tier list. Okay. So first we have Black Strider. So as you can see, his ability is summoning 1 to 4 phantoms, which is pretty meh on some situations. And but his passive, first passive, increased shotgun damage. Well, on paper, this is good. There is a lot of good or amazing, legendary, and perfect shotguns, right? But at the same time, especially this, a shotgun deals 10% damage to all enemies in a cone. If you have the perfect set, you already have this effect. And by the way, right? And by the way, especially this final passive right here, this kinda sucks, and this character is super hard to get, right? So, what's my decision is going to be on B tier. You know, pretty meh, pretty meh for a legendary character. Next, next is Lady Dragon, right? Lady Dragon. So Lady Dragon has this ability, Fan Throw. Not the best ability, right? But the only caveat for Lady Dragon is that she is an electric melee type of character, right? And also, her first passive is pretty amazing. It deals a lot of huge damage, especially for bosses. But again, the problem with this character is that she is super hard to get unless you actually grinded for triad events. Second passive, increase damage to live targets by 5%. So yeah, it's not that good, but she can be very good if you have her at, even though at 4 stars. So yeah, I think we'll put her to A tier because of the bossing capabilities. Because I mean, yeah, even though you only you'd only get her at 4 stars, right? You'd unlock this fatal blow. It should be enough. And also, uh, the electric the electric element is kinda rare in this game. Okay, next. Our next character would be Goliath. Oh shit. This character right here is probably one of the most coveted or the goated in the game. His ability, the taunt, provocation, roars and range of 3 meters and attack them for 5 seconds. By the way, most of the abilities of allies depends on their mastery. On paper, this is just 5 seconds, right? Maximum, this can go to 12 to 14 seconds. Second passive, when an ally receives 3,000 damage, there's gonna be a huge explosion. So basically, all of this ability, counteraction, this is for you. You're not remember certain bosses that can stun you, right? Like for example, Bukor, right? This is pretty clutch, and yes, this final passive from floors 1 to 6 and all the consecutive floors up to floor 36, Goliath's base stats would go higher. And by the way, this character has the highest attack power, if I remember. So yeah, the goat himself, we're gonna put him easily at S tier. And by the way, the reason why I'm putting this guy on S, right? He can taunt all of the bosses, all types of enemies, right? 12 to 14 seconds of free time is amazing enough. That's survivability, and you can do all of your bullshit combo, whatever you do. This is a must have, but the only downside of Goliath is that this guy is a premium ally. When I say premium, the only way to get this, right? The only way to get this guy is by buying him either from the allies or waiting for another what another season pass. But yes, if ever this is one of the worth character to spend your money on. So yeah, S tier, easy. Next we have Annie Smith. Yeah, so I love this character, but you know I'm not gonna be biased, but this ability right here, Gunfu. Circular attack by 5 meters and reduces the attack speed of all enemies. By the way, this attack speed reduction, okay, is pretty good. There are some enemies. Basically, Annie Smith can even alter the attack speed of some of the bosses, right? There are other bosses that hit pretty hard, and reducing their attack speed can be very good. Next passive, Double Trouble increases the damage of pistol and dual weapons by 5%. Oh, by the way, these types of passive right here are pretty good. Really good. You know, you're gonna be giving her a lot of mastery. I mean, sure, you can make her a DPS, but yeah. Priority targeting, next passive. Increase damage to elite enemy bosses. Oh, 5-star Annie Smith. You know, having Annie Smith at 5 stars, you're gonna open up a lot of perfect and specialist weapons for her. Even legendary pistols are gonna be good once you have this 5-star Annie Smith. And of course, Deadeye, the final passive for Annie Smith, increases critical damage. Yeah, you don't need, the reason why Annie Smith can be very good is because you don't need, right? You don't need 6 stars. You only need 5 stars. This one, if ever 4-star is already good enough, just so you could have an easier time dealing with secret arc floor, secret floor 3, right? But again, the only downside of Annie Smith, right? The only downside of Annie Smith is that you can only get her from alpha coders. So yeah, I mean, technically, there are only a bunch of allies that you are saving alpha coders for. But I'd say she is worth it up to 5 stars. But, you know, again, the big but. She is not that OP to the levels of Goliath, right? We're going her for A tier. Best for bosses and for some very niche fights, right? Oh, and especially, yeah, Arc Secret Floor 3. Anyway, next we have Storm the Strider. So this is a fire experimental type weapon ally. His skill deals 200 damage to enemies in front of the ally. Oh, by the way, this ability right here crits. Remember, your ally crits as well, right? Look, very high crit hit and crit damage. I would say, right, reduces incoming damage in aberrated areas such as old gas station, warehouse, slammer. Yeah, this ally can be good. Again, another can be good ally. And Brotherhood reduces energy consumption of allies on the team. Now, this can be what? This can be very good. 5 stars Storm the Strider, right? Especially the 6-star version of the Storm the Strider. But the only problem with this guy deals a huge amounts of damage. And by the way, even though his skill, I mean his weapon type isn't AoE, His skill can make his auto attack an AoE, but it doesn't consume that much energy than AoE rocket launcher allies. But yeah, again, the problem with this character right here, you can only get this guy from a season pass, right? Like, even though, let's say he is free on the season pass, you're gonna have a hard time farming his fragments. Like, by the time you want, of course, you want 6 stars, right? You want this increased damage to chart, right? Or even 5 stars. This is gonna take you way longer than expected. So yeah, even though this guy is pretty good, his level 41 skill isn't gonna help you. Yeah, level 61 skill. So yeah, I would put him below. Yeah, I would put this guy to C tier. Uh, Pretty very a very easy decision, you know. There are a lot of uh fire elemental type of allies. And by the way, the reason why Black Strider is way above this guy, Black Strider provides decent buffs, especially to shotguns. Like, remember, there are a lot of legendaries and perfect specialists for shotguns, which this guy provides. So, like, let's say, uh, if you got this Black Strider for alpha coders, right? You got 4-star. The 4-star version of Black Strider is much more worth it. Yeah, increases shotgun damage. So yes, rather than this, you're just reducing damage. And oh, and by the way, OGS warehouse slammer, those are somewhat easy, right? And you rarely also use this on arc. So yeah, pretty below. Next, now we have Aries. Now this is a rocket launcher type of ally, and by the way, rocket launchers are nerfed to the ground. You know, they consume so much energy that they can only kill only a bunch of enemies before they run out of juice. But look, the stats: good attack power and high crit damage. But you know what? Again, the biggest problem with this type of allies, right? These are premium type of allies that you rarely see from what? The season pass. Or if ever, alpha coders. As to which you never even try to spend alpha coders for this guy. Like, look, his skill deals 1000 to 2000 damage within range. Yeah. Number of targets depends on ally mastery. Yeah, you're not gonna benefit from this, right? Increase direct damage from rocket and grenade launchers. Look, this might be good on paper, right? But at the same time, you should ask yourself, when do you ever use a rocket launcher to kill bosses? Right? And even if you use this on field, you're never gonna benefit from the 10% because most of the enemies die from 1 to 2 shots from rocket launchers anyway. So yeah. Increased chance, next passive, 10% chance to deal double damage with rockets and grenade launchers. Again, rocket launchers on normal enemies die within 1 to 2 shots. So yeah, very counterintuitive. But the final 6-star passive is pretty good. Increase ally team damage at institute facilities, right? This is a leader's talent. What is a leader's talent? Meaning, they don't even have to be on field to give this. I think this goes up to 20%, right? It's always 20% increased ally team damage. So yeah, this is the only good thing, the 6 stars. But again, this is so hard to get. And by the way, rocket launchers, especially his weapon type as well, it kinda sucks, you know. So again, this guy, Aries. Aries! Where is that guy? Aries, Aries. Where is he? Nope, that's the wrong one. Defender, Aries. Oh my. Yeah, this one, right? It's going to be C tier. Yeah, it sucks for him. Then we have Defender. Look, now this is one of those uh allies that can be found with what? With another season pass. And again, are you really gonna spend a season pass for this specific type of ally, right? So, first skill, places a dome inside, increases direct damage and increases the durability of your weapons. Very good on paper, right? This on very good, right? This skill alone looks good on paper, but in reality, remember, this ally is an assault rifle type, and this costs so much energy for you to even use this. And also, once this ally places this dome, let's say you're fighting a certain boss, you're moving around. If you can't enter the dome, then this is pretty useless, right? First passive, increased chance of energy and more chance to dodge enemy attacks while inside. Yeah. Basically, this ally right here wants you to stand and tank all of the enemy attacks. But the problem with this game is that there are a lot of bosses that hit pretty hard, or even normal enemies. So yeah, you don't even want to stand still and shoot. Leader's talent, increase critical hit chance of institute allies. Now this is pretty good. You know, all allies that have a leadership talents are pretty good. But again, right? The problem with this is that you have to reach 5 stars to even get the leader's talent. That's like what? Buying 2 season pass to get this guy to 5 stars. 2 season pass, right? And then the final passive, while you're inside, enemies can't kill you. You restore when the dome vanishes. The dome range is increased. Yeah, this is pretty good. Yeah, like I've said, this ally can be good on higher stars. Like most of the allies are good at 6 stars. But again, the problem is, can you reach 6 stars with this ally? No, right? So yeah. I would say this is pretty promising, but above Aries. A pretty promising ally that can be used on certain combos. So yeah, B tier. B tier indeed, B tier. And we have what? Next up, we have Pincer. Holy. This guy is a laser. You don't see any laser type of damage type right here. Dark zone laser type. Summons 2 doppelgangers to fight on your side for 6 seconds. This is pretty much the same as what? This is the same as Black Strider, okay? Ally has a 40 chance of applying vulnerability to dark energy to enemies. Yeah, this is pretty... You know, this is shit. Even though 120% is good, the reason why this is shit, may I remind you, there isn't any elemental weapon in the game that deals uh this type, yeah, dark zone type of element. Yeah, dark energy. And by the way, this is also a season pass character. On paper, right? On paper, if you can actually grind for how many season pass levels, you can only get this to 4-star on one season pass if you bought this. Reduce next passive reduces incoming damage from all enemies. Special attack. So yeah. Yeah. Very clutch on what? Very clutch on certain boss fights. Like they really want to push this dark type of element, but yeah, I think they removed it. There's no weapon that deals dark type right now. And then the final passive, when an ally deals critical damage, there is a 30% chance to create a shield around you that absorbs 1000 damage. So yeah, a very defensive type of ally, but offers some of it tries to be a jack of all trades, but again, a dark type dark energy element isn't in the game anymore. So yeah, it kinda sucks. And another season pass ally, by the way. But yeah, you know, you know what he deserves, right? He deserves the lowest. You're never gonna be. I don't suggest you buying this season pass ally, right? Yeah, don't bother with this ally. Next. Oh my god. Next is Harley. I mean, all of the players of this game, this is very self-explanatory, right? The reason why this is very self-explanatory, ever since her release, she has been meta. When I say meta, like the damage boost you get from this skill increases the chance of dealing critical damage and the amount of critical damage you deal, and at the same time your direct damage. Basically, her skill is a steroids for for all of your damage, right? And this one, Shango's protection reduces incoming damage in areas with undertakers. So, you know, as long as there is undertakers, not very useful, but you know, she is very OP. Next passive increases all damage dealt to undertakers. Again, this isn't uh this isn't big of a deal, right? I mean, sure, you have certain Undertaker bosses, like there is a lot. Plague Bukor, Samedi Bukor, you know, like a huge amount. And by the way, you're also using her most of the time as well if you have her. Like even if you have her at 3-star, right? Like no 4-star, no 5-star, yeah. You can use her even at plain 3 stars. And by the way, the final passive, when you kill an enemy, increases the duration, and also this her ability also uh her ability also gives the direct damage and crit damage for her. So yeah, pretty amazing ally. Well, you know, she is right beside Goliath as it was, right? It is what it is. They are the GOAT. Next, the Electron Aberration. Again, like I've said, there is a pretty rare amount of electric allies in the game, right? Chain lightning, but this attack right here, right? This attack right here can be very good. Uh, this is pretty much better than the other aberration type electric ally. So yeah, very self-explanatory. First passive, ally has a 40% chance of applying vulnerability. So yeah, this type of ally, 4-star, 120% electric damage. Yeah, if you have this ally at 4-star, and by the way, you can only get this from season pass again, or coders, right? I would say, uh, I would say this ally is kinda worth it. Like again, there are a super low amount of electric allies in the game that boost electric damage, and this one is a very significant buff to electric. And I would say electric weapons are kind of weak, you know. Next passive, Overload, 40% chance to apply a current mark that deals 2500 damage and explodes, right? The usual damage buffs. And increase direct electric damage and restores health by 20% of the damage dealt. So yeah, 6 stars good, 4 stars good, 5 star good. But again, the problem would be having this ally again. You can kind of see the pattern, right? Right? You can kind of see the pattern of how an ally can be worth it, right? But this ally can be usable. Again, usable. The term is usable once you have them at 4 stars. So B tier, right over here. And we have Mike the Bulldog. The next ally. His skill is the ally requests fire support. The number of rounds depends on ally mastery. By the way, the more mastery you give this guy, the more mortars that are dropping from the enemy, which deals us a very significant high amount of damage. Crowd control also, the AoE from this 3 meters is huge. Yeah, 3 meters is huge. Then the first passive increases regular weapons critical hit chance. Very good. Again, if you give this guy a lot of mastery, a lot of crit hit chance. This is pretty good on specialist hawk weapons. And again, it pairs up with the next passive, reduces durability loss of hawk weapons. Oh yeah. If you're using this ally, you're gonna be using specialist hawk weapons with this, or just hawks in general, hawk weapons in general. And by the way, hawk weapons are expensive. Having this at 5-star reduces durability loss of hawk weapons. Plus, if you have the hawk 15 slot backpack, those hawk weapons are gonna last much longer, right? And the final passive reduces energy consumption of hawk allies in your team, which also works on him, meaning it reduces his energy consumption as well. This guy isn't an AoE character. So yeah, at 6 stars, he is gonna be the godly 6 stars, right? But again, another season pass character. But you can, again, since he is very good, it is very much worth it to grind the levels for the season pass, and you can easily get him at 4-star, right? Increases regular weapons critical hit chance. This alone makes him very usable, right? But again, very expensive character for a season pass, right? Very expensive. He is going to be a B tier, but higher B. Yeah, a very high B tier. The reason why only B, right? The reason why only B. Just look. The reason why only B, well, again, if you don't have this guy at 5 or 6 stars, right? He is not gonna be good. Which he needs this. He needs this 5 stars. or even 6 stars, which is a lot of real money investments. So yeah, next character we have Lieutenant Frost. Damn. Lieutenant Frost, you have this ability, Cold Grip. Uh, Basically his skill is the same as what? Trapper. Yeah. Freezes enemies and grants a chance to kill them with one attack with crushing weapons, right? So basically, this character wants you to use melee weapons, right? And then Hypothermia, increase crit damage of frosty weapons. Good. Very, very good. Then the next passive, Ice Storm, reduces incoming fire damage by 5%. Very good. It really pairs up well. And then the caveat. No, not the caveat. The 6 stars changes ally damage type to frosty. And by the way, it just doesn't change their elemental type to frosty, right? It also increases their damage. Yeah. If you use a certain a certain decoration, the damage is gonna be fucking huge. So yeah, a very good all-around character. You can use melee. You can even use range frosty weapons. But again, this guy is pretty good. Even though this guy can only be obtained by alpha coders, it is pretty much worth it. You know, even though, like, let's say you don't have 5 stars, right? Just by having this guy at 4 stars, it can change your life. There's a lot of fire-based enemies and arc floor 30. And you're gonna be using this guy a whole lot because of this. And also, yeah, if you have this guy at 5 stars, even better, right? But again, the problem would be alpha coders. But you know, it's not that hard to farm alpha coders or to grind for alpha coders. So yeah. Let's see. Where is my guy? Lieutenant Frost. Where are you? Yeah, this guy is straight up A. Yeah. He is straight up A tier. He is that good. And by the way, this crit damage right here, his crit damage right here, this is pretty huge. Yeah. Next. The Hemosphere Aberration. By the way, this is the recent, right? Yeah, this is the current, not recent, the current ally, the current season pass, right? And what are my thoughts for this specific ally? Well, let's have a look. Deals 1,500 area damage and vulnerability to deep wounds. Very good ability. Very good. And then you have this increased periodic deep wound damage by 5%, which also increases by mastery. And then the next passive, 40% chance of dealing periodic deep wound damage, even more damage, and increased direct damage from weapons inflicting deep wounds, and you heal. Yeah, on paper, this is good. Like all of this. And also, by the way, guys, there isn't a lot of deep wounds type of ally in the game. But again, this is a season pass ally. If you're thinking about getting this, there are a much better ally in the game. Right? Like remember, guys, what do we have? We have Goliath, right? One of the season pass characters that you can invest on getting at. right? So yeah, even though this ally right here purely damage, right? It is pretty niche. Like you can this ally would only shine at floor 31 to 36 and maybe Screaming Forest. But yeah, this is a skip, you know. Like you can live without this ally. So that's gonna be a B tier. You can live without this ally. Very good, but you can live without this. Okay, next. What do we have next? Candy Smith. This is, by the way, guys, Candy Smith is, you can only get this ally from participating in Hawk event. Hawk events is pretty expensive. But you know, as they say with Hawks, some of the allies are hit or miss, and as well as her skill, it flicks blindness that makes the enemy miss their attacks on you. The only reason why you would want this Candy Smith is this 5, 4, and 5 star Annie Smith. Reduces regular weapon durability loss and nanite effect. Yeah, again, this is pretty good on paper, but again, you have to really get this character, participate in Hawk events, which is pretty expensive enough. You know, and even this 6 stars, chance to kill an enemy. And by the way, this doesn't work on bosses. But yeah, this can, uh, you can save a lot of durability and nanite effect with this ally. But again, you can live without this ally. That's an easy B tier. That's a BC. Candy Smith. It's an easy B tier. There's a lot of mid. Yeah, B tier is mid. C tier is you can live without them. Usable, right? Next we have Dark Jane. Dark Jane. A grenade shot to the target deals 800 damage and applies vulnerability to dark energy. Again, guys, there aren't any more dark energy type of element in the game. There's no weapon in the game that produces dark element. You're basically what? 10% chance to deal periodic dark energy damage to enemies. Also, this stacks up. This stacks up to 5. The damage is pretty high as well, right? But again, second passive increases damage in Stoker, Diode, and Twins. By the way, this passive right here is useless. Why would I say useless? Dark Jane is what? Dark damage, right? It doesn't damage Stoker, Diode, and Twins. So yes, this is pretty useless. She basically has no passive at 5 stars. And then 6 stars. Critical hits apply vulnerability. Even more damage, right? Yeah, if they actually change this passive right here, this ally can be good, but the only way you can get Dark Jane is what? The only way you can get Dark Jane is through alpha coders, as to which you're not gonna want to spend those coders for her ECC tier. Next. Oops. Moon. Oh, Moon. Yeah. We have his ability, creates a shield. Oh, by the way, this also depends on mastery, right? This depends on mastery. This shield can be very huge. Like, the amount of shielding you get from this. And second passive, first passive, I mean. 9% chance of finding rare resources. Again, depending on mastery. For other people that want to hunt legendaries in the wild, like in the warehouse or slammer, like go for it. But it's not worth it, man. Every successful chance of Snoop is cost 1 energy. Second passive, you restore 40 health when killing an enemy. Yeah, pretty meh, but I guess pretty significant. And 6 stars. Well, the protective shield is activated. You periodically restore 200. And your weapon and armor. Yeah, this is a pretty supportive or defensive ally right here. And again, I can only get this guy from alpha coders. Which is, again, the game also hates being defensive. If ever you want an ally that gives buffs in terms of damage, the more that you survive, the longer periods of you fighting the bosses, it's going to be a much more harder time for you. So yeah, even though pretty niche and you can live without her, that's C tier, you know. Next character. Next character we have Dragon's Claw. Oh, you can get this from Triad alpha coders, right? Oh, and this guy is also electric. Remember when I said electric characters are pretty rare? But at the same time, they are also hard to get. So yeah. Ally disappears, then deals 2,000 to 3 enemies, right? First passive, 10% chance to deal partial critical damage with electric weapons to enemies within 3 meters. Way of the Dragon, Shadow Strike, increases your critical hit chance. Again, pretty good. All of his skills, passive, good. Your critical hits have a 10% chance to restore energy to Dragon Claw. Yeah, again, this is like Dragon's Claw is the same as what? The same as Lady Dragon. But for Lady Dragon, the reason why Lady Dragon is A, as long as you grinded for Triad, you can get her easily. But this guy cost what? You need alpha coders for him. You can live without him, but if you do manage to get him, a very good addition. Yeah, this is a very good damage dealer for what? Electric. And again, there are a lot of enemies that are weak to electric as well. That's why even at plain 3 stars, this damage is already huge. B. That's a B. Next, we have Wayne Deadbow. Skill, ally attack deals 350 damage. Oh, by the way, this is a bow or crossbow type of weapon that deals deep wounds damage, right? And whenever you use this skill, this character becomes an AoE grenade launcher type of ally. Which makes him what? Which makes him eat up a lot of energy when attacking with this skill right here. And by the way, to get Wayne the Deadbow, you what? You only need to, again, this is Hawks, another Hawks character. You either have to buy premium. That's 4 pages for you to have a guaranteed 4-star, because this right here is the reason why you want to have this guy. Ambush. Increases stealth damage by 50%. This can go up to 85 to 90% stealth damage right here. Very huge. You can one-shot bosses with this. And certain enemies with what? 13,000 HP, you can one-shot with this. Then you have the second passive. Increase damage dealt to forest children. Of course. Very useful on Screaming Forest and floor 31 to 35. Then you have his final passive. Increase attack speed, duration, you know. Yeah, this character is pretty good, but also worth the investment. And by the way, like I've said, even if you're not planning to get a premium on 1 page or 4 pages, you can grind for this guy. You can easily get this guy if you grind for him. Easily 8 year. Grindable. Shit. Now we have this Interceptor. Again, this is another one of those experimental weird type of weaponry. Right? Circular attack deals 300 damage to all enemies within range. The amount of damage depends on ally master. Look, this ability right here, this first passive, depending on the ally's mastery, vulnerability to plasma. The reason why this can be good, but at the same time very useless, there isn't a lot. When I say there isn't a lot, there really isn't a lot of plasma type of weaponry in the game. By the way, they want you to have this ally, right? They want you to have this ally for floor 36. Why? Floor 36 is weak to plasma weapons. Next passive. Harley has a 40% chance of applying periodic plasma damage to enemy. Again, even more plasma. And then 6 stars adds direct plasma to a weapon. So yeah, again, even you need 6 stars for passive 2 and 3 to work. Passive 1 and 2 to work. Would you spend money? Would you spend alpha coders for a specific character like this? No. Again, no. You can live without this ally. And there's only one enemy that's weak to plasma. And that's only floor 36. So yeah. Easy. We have Strider Shocker. By the way, this guy was you can get this guy from Easter event. Like recently, like I know a lot of you got this ally. And again, when I say pretty rare for a shotgun electric type of ally, pretty good damage as well. Yeah. Yeah, the first passive increases critical damage from electric weapons. Yeah. Look at this. Increases electric. When I say this character is pretty good, really good. An electric buffer type of ally. If ever, from what you can see right here, like you have Lady Dragon and this guy right here. Both are very good on bosses, right? But they also need what? 4 stars, 5 stars. But again, with this guy right here, you only need 4 stars to get this passive. You only need this. And you're gonna see most of your damage being buffed. Unlike what? Unlike this two right here. Unlike this and this. you're gonna be seeing their damage ranked up. But yeah, most of the time, yes, you want your damage instead of allies. Then you have a 50% chance of applying periodic electric damage and adds direct electric. This is just good. Overall good. And pretty farmable as well. Again, that guy, as long as you've played Easter, you can get this guy. So, let's say you've grinded, right? Of course, this is a it's free. This ally is free. You can get this. You can grind for this. Pretty good electric buff. Gromov. Machine gun AoE type of ally. Applies vulnerability to enemies within range of 70%. And then 20% more heavy weapons. Yeah, again, this guy, you can only get this guy from what? A season pass, right? And also, like, all of these abilities from 3 star to 6 stars, all of these are good. Increases chance of dealing critical damage with heavy weapons, more damage. Grants booster that increase critical damage from heavy weapons, even more damage. And of course, a leader talent, team damage. To bosses as well. But again, major problem with this guy. For you to use this guy, you need to use the perfect armor set, which is what he is wearing. At the same time, you need this guy at 4 star, 5 star, or even 6 stars, right? And you can only get him from what? You can only get him from season pass. So what does that lead us? You can live without him, and there is a very small amount of heavy weapons that deal good damage to bosses. Yeah, you can live without this. Even though, of course, if you have 4 star, 5 star, this can go up to A. But, you know, you can live without this guy. Next. Prometheus. Prometheus Chap C. Circular attack deals 260 within 5 meters, which is a pretty huge. When I say huge, right? A pretty huge area. Also experimental weapon. Increase attack speed of heavy weapons. Leader talent, 10% chance of not wasting. Very good leadership talent, 5 stars. And upgrade. This is shit, by the way. Killing enemies with Aries protocol increases your damage. The reason why this 6 star passive is shit, this hardly ever kills enemies. And by the way, like, let's say you are fighting a boss, you can never one-shot them with this, meaning you won't get the extra direct damage if you don't kill any enemies. And again, alpha coders and season pass characters, you can live without this. Very easy choice. A very easy choice. Where is Prometheus? Yep. Next. Ivar. Yeah, Ivar the Dark Guardian. This is a crushing and toxic poison type of ally. Immobilize enemies within range of 4 meters. Pretty huge. The duration of the ability depends on ally mastery. And by the way, this ability right here, Living Roots, there are some allies as well that has that specific passive. Like for example, this stay in the ticket. Yeah. So the main difference with this is that some most of the time, right, some of these skills affect bosses while some do not, right? If the boss is small, right, humanoid, it can affect bosses and immobilize them. Again, it depends on the ally mastery on how long the stun is. Then, Gift of the Forest, 10% chance to restore health when toxic poison damage is dealt. And critical hits apply vulnerability. All good, and adds direct toxic poison. But again, this is a season pass character. And the sad thing about toxic poison is that there isn't a lot of good toxic poison weapons, even though those are mostly legendary weapons. And at the same time, there is only one place you're gonna be using toxic poison, which is what? Cutter. Right? So yeah. You can live without this guy as well. Where is Ivar the Dark Guardian? Yep. There, from what you can see right here, there's already a huge amount of allies that you can live without, right? Dr. Anna Pavlova increases healing efficiency, and if you time this perfectly, right, a 10% booster. This is at 10 seconds, by the way. And then if you also time this perfectly, yeah, you can revive with full health. And then first passive, 5% chance to dispel 2 negative effects. Having this character, without what? This is pretty good on certain boss fights. And increase ally damage bonus by 4%. This is for Anna Pavlova. Even though this is experimental, this is basically a sniper rifle right here. Very high damage, and you can spam this skill because of her high damage. And then 10% chance to restore 7% when attacking. Again, this character is pretty good, right? If you got this on 6 stars, you can easily get this, right? You can get this for character for free if you are lucky. This is by chance. On 4 star, certain bosses, if you have no allies to use, of course, use this. This character can be good for boss fights, but the boss fights are extended. You know, this is just for survivability. And again, survivability in this game kinda sucks. The game wants you to deal more damage instead of surviving. But again, you can get this character for free, and if you manage to somehow get this ally to 6 stars, get this to level 120 or even 5 stars, this can be pretty good, but not that good. Or let's say you're not even using her, even if you got her to 5 stars. Let's be at least usable, right? Free but usable. Then we have what? Eyeshadow. Skill. Marks an enemy, deals 400 damage to them, increases their vulnerability cold, slows down the target. Take. Yeah. This skill alone is pretty good. But again, this triad character is what? An alpha coder. But first passive, increase direct cold damage, and second passive, critical hits slow down enemy. And by the way, this is kind of shit. Frosty weapons, right? You're already using frosty weapons, which slows down the enemy, and it it also doesn't affect bosses as well. So yeah, this is a pretty shit passive. It's like having 0 second passive, and then increase your critical hit chance by 3%. Yeah, if you don't have any cryo allies, this is a pretty good ally, right? They can be compared to what? They can be compared to Lieutenant Frost. But Lieutenant Frost is much more easier to use. When I say much more easier, for example, this one, Echo of the Storm, they are increases their vulnerability to cold, right? You have to use him on field, meaning if you swap allies, their vulnerability will be gone. Well, for example, in this guy, you can use this ability and they will be what? They will be vulnerable to crushing weapons. So yeah. But again, this guy is pretty good on even higher. Even 4-star is good. If you have no cryo ally, 4-star is good. Alpha coders. Mhm. I would say usable. I would say usable, but not to the point that would reach you to use this. Because again, if you, they are both alpha coders, right? Lieutenant Frost and this one. If you were to really choose, yeah, go for Lieutenant Frost. Much more easier to proc. We have Dambalo to Tornado. This ally right here, it actually deals AoE. But somehow it doesn't consume that much energy even though this ally can deal AoE. Every attack of this ally can slow down enemies, by the way. Skill 100%, 140% vulnerability to acid to 10 seconds. This is pretty good. And by the way, there are a lot of very good acid buffer allies. First passive, increase periodic acid damage. Good. 40% chance of dealing periodic another damage type. Good. And increases direct damage, which also heals you. Overall good. Right? Overall good. But, you know, this is a season pass character that you can live without. Yeah. The reason why I said you can live without this, again, there are a lot of acid allies that you can get for free, while this one is that you have to buy the season pass or get enough fragments to even use this, which is, it's gonna take a lot of time to get this guy to 4 or even 5 stars. So yeah, that's why he deserves, that's why you can live without that ally. Next, we have Romanov. Probably one of the GOATs, right? You have this skill, deals 900 area damage and burns an enemy. You know, his skill alone deals a lot of damage, and it burns the enemy for a lot of damage as well. Second passive, increase damage from heavy weapons, right? Overall good? I would say no. Leadership talent, and yes, the reason why this guy is good because of the leadership talent. 2%. No, yo, this can increase from 18 to 20% from mastery alone. And this works in the Warehouse Slammer and even Carnifex Lair. I use this guy. And by the way, this guy is free. You can grind for this guy. 6 stars, reduce the cooldown of slowdown. You know, it's not that much. It's not that good, but you know, at least you have this. But you know, you're only using this guy at Warehouse, Slammer, or even Prime. So it makes sense, right? It really makes sense. Overall, this character is balanced and also free. And the reason why I'm putting it on a higher level right here, S, right? And the reason why I'm putting him on such a higher place, even though what? Even though he isn't as good as Goliath and Harley, because this ally is free. And the usability of him, of his skills that you are going to be constantly farming, I would say, yeah, highest. Next, easy choice, highest. And by the way, even though he is an AoE, a rocket launcher ally, it doesn't matter. It really does not matter for this guy. Even if he loses his energy within 5 shots, 8 shots, it doesn't matter. He did his job. You only need this. Next, Cardinal, Prophet of the Shining. Now, this is one of the characters that you can also grind as well. You can get this character from playing the Decayer event, as to which you can easily get this guy. Yeah, you can easily get this guy from 4-star to 6 stars within what? Within a year. Within a year of playing this game, you can get this. So, skill increases damage dealt by fire weapons. And they also receive 120% fire damage. And then increases critical fire damage. By the way, this is for you. If you are dealing fire weapon damage, that's additional 20%. And by the way, this 20% chance for 0 periodic fire damage, this doesn't make sense. This is the only passive for Cardinal that doesn't make sense. Why? Because you're using this guy for fighting enemies that are weak to fire. You're never using this guy to enemies that are fire type. So yeah, this sucks. This is unusable. And also, final passive, 6 stars. This one right here gives you a shield that explodes every 2 seconds. And also, 6 meters is a pretty high range. So yeah, easily I would say, where is he? S tier. You can farm for him. Again, it's the same concept with this one. It's the same concept with Romanov. You can farm for him, and it is free as long as you grind for it. But pretty strong ally as well. You can, if you watch one of my videos, you can one-shot a lot of the bosses with this if you're using fire weapons. Next, Omen Bukor, another AoE rocket launcher, but acid. Again, I told you there are a lot of good acid characters right here. AoE, right? Depends on the ally mastery. Another 120% acid vulnerability, and periodic acid, and even deals double damage to armored enemies. So again, you can live without this guy. You can get this guy from buying the season pass, which sucks, right? So imagine, where is that guy? Imagine this two right here. These two are both on the same season pass, both acid, almost the same kit, right? And they are almost the same because they are AoE as well, which sucks because it drains a lot of their energy. But the reason why you can live without them, because if you bought the season pass, you're only gonna get 3-star of them. And I'm gonna give you a reason why there are still other choices for acid allies in the game. But yeah, you can live without them. You can live without this too. Fire Dragon. Yo, Fire Dragon, this guy is free. Yeah, you can get this from playing Triad events. Deals 1100 damage on a straight line, which also burns enemies. Pyrokinesis. Yeah. All good. Ally attacks have 50% chance of dealing periodic. Yeah. And then the 6-star version is critical hits applying vulnerability to, yeah, this is good. Another fire buffer ally. But the only downside is that what? He is using a rocket launcher. This guy can lose so much energy with just one or two ability. But again, you can get this guy for free. And again, there's a lot of enemies that are vulnerable to fire. Like, let's say you don't have Harley or Ghost. You got this for free. Again, you can farm for this, right? Like, easily. Easily, this is a usable B tier. No, not very good with energy. But, again, the reason why it's B tier, not A, again, you already have Romanov. By the time you are farming for this guy, you already got a 5-star or 6-star Romanov to begin with. So yeah, this is just extra. And by the way, yeah, again, Cardinal is also free. So a much better fire ally. Yeah, even though they are all AoE types of ally, still much better. Usable ally. Uh Much more faster to get stars. Next. Only a bunch more. Dark Ghost. Wait a minute. Are we done with Ghost? No. Ghost. Deals 1200 damage within range of 3 meters around the target. Slows down enemy. Yeah, it slows down their speed and attack speed. This just deals more damage. And also, this is a sniper rifle with a dark energy element. Again, another dark energy element, which doesn't make sense. First passive, another 120% dark energy damage. And adds there again, you can live without this guy. Yeah. And by the way, you get this from alpha coders. Don't bother pulling for this. Yeah, don't bother pulling for this ally. Dark Ghost. I can live without this ally. Next Trapper. Holy. Look at this. 4 to 12 seconds of taunt. A trap that lures charred and deals 1000 damage. And by the way, damage to all enemies within range and makes them 20% vulnerable. By the way, even though the taunt or the stun only works for charred enemies, as long as this explodes on top of the enemy, they get the 20% vulnerability. And by the way, this stun works on a lot of bosses in the game. Like, about 80% of the game, you can stun. Right? First passive, increase crit damage from bows, crossbows, and weapons with silencers. You're gonna be surprised if you look some of the weapons that are silenced. Yeah. There's a lot of weapons that are silenced. You just have to look. Yeah. Very good. 20% base damage. Crit. And then a leadership talent. Increase team damage to charred. Which is good. Again, guys. Leadership talents are very sought after. This is 5 stars. Now 6 stars. Increase crit hit chance to charred bosses. Literally, this guy is made for charred bosses. But the only downside for this is what? The only downside is that this is a very premium ally. Trapper, you know, which kinda sucks. Very premium ally, which only puts him at A. Right? If only it you can only get this from buying this ally directly, or gambling, or season pass, waiting for the season pass. It's the same with Goliath as well. But the reason why Goliath is much more above, like, he can taunt all of the enemies, while this guy is much more focused on only charred enemies. But still, if you are struggling to fight a certain charred boss, amazing ally. Very worth the investment. We have Strider Santa. Next. This ally is free that you can get from Christmas, New Year events. This various boosters right here, his skill, it can drop an additional damage boost, speed boost, and healing. Which, good. And first passive, increase periodic cold damage. Good. And even more, reduces frosty weapon durability. Yeah, you're basically getting this character for free. And then you have to use this character to even increase the durability of frosty weapons. And you have this ability right here, 6 stars. Overall, a very good welfare ally that you can get. Everyone can get it, If you don't have Ice Shadow, Lieutenant Frost, yeah. Very good, usable. Let's be. Yeah, you can grind for that ally. You're gonna get that ally. Don't worry. And we have Duke the Spider. Anyway, this ally, you can get this from alpha coders on some Hawk related events. Grants 10% chance for rifles to fire twice in one attack. This is just his active ability. This is a VSS Ventoris. This is a sniper rifle. Don't let it fool you. Increase the damage done by regular weapons. It does not affect aberrated weapons. Again, there are already a lot of allies in game, right? So yeah, and grants boosters that increase direct damage done by rifles. And then final passive, increase critical hit chance of Hawk allies. Of course, very expensive 6-star allies just for this, but yeah, alpha coders, it's not worth getting him. You can live without this guy. C tier. Oh, that's wrong. Next, Duke the Spider. We have Plague Doctor, Plague Bukor. Now this guy, you can get this guy from Undertaker event. The only downside with this ally is that his auto attacks are AoE, explosive, right? So sometimes it can miss, but yeah, it deals a lot of damage. His skill, protects, restores 200 health, and deflects 100 damage. Pretty good. A pretty good defensive. This character right here is the definition of offensive, defensive, like all of it. And then first passive, 5% chance to restore a part of your health from acid damage. Good, right? Very good, because you're already using this guy for certain enemies that are vulnerable to acid. And then second passive, your attacks have a 7% chance of dealing periodic acid. Good. And then, of course, 6 stars. Replaces acid and fire damage with Doom Fire. This is wholly good, But again, this character is what? This character can use so much energy, but it is worth it. You know, since you can farm for this guy, it is worth it. Easily, what? Easily B tier. You can farm for this guy. Yeah. You can farm for this, and it's usable. By the way, rather than this, you're paying for this two acid allies right here. And you have this. All are what? All are, this two right here are, no, three. AoE. So yeah, it's still much better. To have free. Free is always better. Flame Sprout. Flame Sprout is one of those weird allies that are considered single target but can deal AoE. It's like the same with what? It's the same with this guy. Even though they are dealing single target attacks, yeah, they can deal AoE attacks as well. But yeah, it's they don't consume that much energy, which is very good. But what sets them apart is what? Only their element. They're practically the same. Periodic fire damage, increased health, califaction, and look, see, they're pretty much the same. And you know what? You know what? You can also get this on the season pass. So literally, they are the same. And you know what that means? You can live without that ally as well. C tier. And then Madame Lavo. This ally is pretty good. Grenade deals 1000 damage that increases with mastery. And by the way, that acid zone that she leaves with the grenade of her skill lasts very long. And it also slows down enemies. At the same time, that it just does not deal damage. It also shreds their vulnerability to acid. Yeah, this character is pretty good. And also, this character is a single target assault rifle. Meaning what? You can save a lot of energy with this ally. And also, by the way, if you use her skills, it makes her deal a lot of damage, which makes what? You can actually spam her abilities. There's a lot of single target characters that couldn't spam their abilities, but this character can spam throwing the grenades, which is very, very good. And her first passive increased direct acid damage. And by the way, the reason why direct acid damage is better than what? Periodic. See, first passive, periodic, right? 4 stars. Which is, you this character is super hard to get, right? You have to buy the season pass. While this, Madame Lavo, where is she? You just have to be lucky, right? You just have to be lucky. The reason why direct acid damage is much better, think of it this way. Periodic is dot damage over time, while acid direct damage, remember those characters that buff your damage, like Harley, like this one, increase your direct damage, right? If you have an increased direct damage, meaning your overall base damage increases as well. Which also what? Translate to killing enemies much faster. Because periodic damage sometimes can be lacking, and sometimes it doesn't kill enemies as fast as it can. And look at her second passive, increases allies' accuracy and reaction. This character has super less crit damage and crit hit chance, but remember, this is a assault rifle type of weapon. Meaning, this character is very self-sufficient. Good AoE, good buff, both good buffs, right? And With this, you don't even have to bother giving her accuracy and reaction. You just have to focus on what? Giving her even more crit hit, even more attack power, or even mastery, which is overly balanced and good. And then for the final passive, 6 stars, increased chance of dealing extra damage to enemy armor. And of course, since she is already dealing acid damage, this is just an extra bonus. You know, having a 6 stars on all of these characters, right, is super hard to get, right? And by the way, 6 stars, you have to also level them to 120. As to which I know some of you don't even have, right? So yeah, this character, is pretty good. You can easily get her to 5 stars, 6 stars. You know, right? This character is really good. Like, the main difference from this one's, right, is that she is usable right off the bat. Like for example, this two. And Plague Doctor and Anna Pavlova are also, you can get them, right? You can grind for them. But again, in terms of usability, this is AoE. It drains this character's energy much faster. This is much usable. Yeah, Madame Lavo is very, very good. Ripper. Now, this character becomes what? Free once you defeat Cutter many times. Deals 1,200 damage and applies bleeding to them. Doubles damage to enemy armor. Rifle, right? But this deals deep wounds. Critical hits to enemies deal 10% bleeding damage. So yeah. And then next passive has a 15% chance dealing extra damage to enemies that are bleeding. You know, even more damage if you use this. And 18% chance to kill an enemy with less than 30% chance. Yeah, this character can be very cool in fighting normal types of enemies. But again, before you, yeah, even though this guy is free, if you can defeat Cutter, right? That's another caveat. But you can live without this guy. Yeah. You're not gonna be needing this guy. And we have Racial Puma. Now, this character is very situational. When I say very, right? You have an ability like her. It deals a lot of damage. It stacks up to 3 times, right? But the problem is, it needs a lot of good setup. You're never gonna be using this specific character for boss fights. Instead, what she excels on is what? Raiding, you know, the abandoned shelters. Yeah, like this. Her second passive, increase ally damage in the abandoned shelters. She is a pro. And you don't even need to, because of her first passive, you don't even need to bring a trap detector. She already has this sapper ability. And finally, 6 stars, increase attack range of weapons and critical hit chance. A very good 6 stars. But again, you're never gonna be using her for what? Any other locations but only abandoned shelters. Very good. You can easily get her if you're lucky. You can grind for her, but again, you can live without her. Like sure, she does a lot of good utility at abandoned shelters, but I know a lot of you don't even bother with abandoned shelters. So yeah, unless you are really going to abandoned shelters that much, of course, she's gonna be what? B. But for most of you, she's not gonna be useful, you know? Her whole kit. And by the way, even though this is huge, increased attack range and critical hit chance, like I've said, 6 stars is hard to get on all allies, and even hitting level 120 is hard. So yeah. 6 stars, level 120 is very unrealistic unless you really grind up for it. Next, we have Ghost. You know, this is one of those very self-explanatory characters. Automatically S. Let's just put him in S and then I'll explain. So, okay. Oh my god. Okay. His skill, increased damage and increased chance of crit chance on enemies marked. Basically, this skill right here is the boss killer. Like, sure, it only affects one singular target. It only marks one target, right? But the huge but on this is that this lasts for what? 12 seconds, that buff, and you can spam this. You can spam this multiple times because this guy is using a rifle. So yeah. First passive, increase rifle damage. Of course, sniper rifle. You're gonna be dealing a lot of damage. And then, leader talent, increase accuracy and reaction of allies. As you can see, accuracy and reaction is what? Accuracy is the number of times they can hit on enemies that aren't moving, and this is the number of times enemies that are moving. Very good leadership talent. And you know, this one reduces the slowdown from rifles. You know, this is just an extra bonus. It's not that good, but you know, bonus. And again, this is a boss killer. You're gonna be, if you have this, even a 3-star. Guys, look. Look at this. Even a 3-star, these characters on the S are usable. Right? Like, even on the A tier, these characters on the A tier are very good. Next, you have Mara, the Forest Witch. You are in my power. So this one deals 1000 area damage, and this actually scales very well with mastery. The more mastery you have, the more damage this one deals, and it paralyzes some of the enemy. And at the same time, again, it doesn't work on bosses, but the first passive is very good. Increases bow and crossbow damage, and this is the only character, right, aside from Trapper, and you can also get this for free if you are lucky grinding for this. You got this randomly. And then the 20%, yeah, this can go up to 20%, right? The increased team damage on bosses floors at arc, right? You have floor 6, floor 12, floor 18, 24, 30, and 36. Basically, all of your allies, they're gonna deal much more damage on arc. And then 6 stars, level 120. You know, this one is very self-explanatory. This can kill, basically she excels at what? Buffing bows, crossbows, and even on arc. Very useful. You only need her for 5 stars leadership talent, and she will help you. In the reason why this is very helpful, remember, the game is telling you to keep doing bosses at spamming floor 12, 18, 36, or what, right? So yeah, very good ally. Very good ally. Very good ally that you only use for her leadership talent. Yeah. It goes for higher B tier. Higher B tier. Yeah. Yep. Yep. No, that's a very good tier. Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Next. what we have is this. Now, this Blazing Sun Aberration. This is the free electric ally, right? When I said there isn't a lot of electric allies in the game, like imagine this. This is the only free version that you're ever gonna get. So, Shock Blast, 800 damage on a very huge area, and it also stuns enemies. Not bosses, right? But most of the enemies in game. And then you have this increased direct electric damage and increases crit damage, ally crit damage by 20% and 60% chance. Yeah, again, overall, the reason why this is good because this is free. And you can use this guy for early Undertaker bosses if you really don't have any. Again, it is so hard to get a good electric ally. That's why this guy can be very good. Easily. Yeah, easily this guy can go to C. Usable. Now this Child of the Beast. This is probably one of the most underrated ally in the game, right? So roots deal 1200 damage depending on mastery again, and immobilizes and prevents enemies from attacking. Look, it does not affect bosses, right? But again, like I've told you, this is kind of like the same with Ivar. Where is Ivar? Ivar. Yeah. Living Roots immobilizes them, right? The reason why this ability right here is good, even though it says it does not affect bosses, it does. Why? Because some bosses can be affected by this. Same with Ivar, which is really, really good. And you can spam this as well. Yeah, you can spam this. Right? So yeah. First passive, increase melee weapon damage by 8%. Right? So you're increasing this can go up to what? 50-60%. Very high melee damage. And this second passive, increase ally attack power by 18%. Basically, this character is very close to inflicting the same damage as Goliath. Okay? Very high damage. The more ally attack power, the more they can spam this ability. And the reason why this character spams this ability, it also doesn't consume that much energy. And once you have this guy at 6 stars, your melee character attacks get 25% chance to be entangled in roots. And by the way, again, in roots, some bosses are affected by this, and even this. Like for example, Golden Dragon, Cardinal, right? Or even sometimes Plague Bukor. Yeah. Very good. And also, 30% of the melee weapon damage dealt restores your health. That's basically lifesteal. Yeah, and again, you can get this guy randomly for free. Again, as long as you're playing this game, you can easily get this guy to 4-star, this and 5-star. And in fact, this is the only ally in game that provides buffs for melee. So if you really love melee oriented fights in this game, and how easy it is to get multiple copies of this guy, easily an S tier. Especially once you finally manage to, like, I have some videos where I killed Cardinal, and Golden Dragon with this guy playing on melee. So yeah. Next. Next we have Chophead. Chophead is literally one of those another underrated character. Again, it's also one of those unique allies that you can get randomly. You can get multiple copies as long as you're playing the game, right? Entangles and immobilizes enemy, preventing from attacking you, and increases the damage to the target by 10% and you restore health. This ability right here is the same as this one and this one. Why do I say they are the same? Like, some of the enemies and some of the bosses can be affected by this. Meaning what? You can stun or immobilize some bosses, humanoid type of bosses or elite type of enemies, and you can easily dealt with them. It doesn't matter if you use melee weapons or range, they are gonna get what? Vulnerability, because you gain increased damage from the only downside from this is that it only targets one enemy. So again, it is better you're using this character on a singular target, which are bosses and elite type of enemies. Now, Horror, this is the first passive. Has a chance to force enemies to flee when attacking. Yes. This is for, since this character lacks what? AoE. This what makes up for it. So yeah, like for example, you have a high mastery and you're shooting enemies. Yeah, this is gonna be good. And second passive, increase allies critical hit chance. Of course, look, this character has a very high crit damage. When I say this character is very underrated, the damage on this guy itself. This character itself can be a DPS. All of his skills are just extra passive. And by the way, the 6 stars increase damage in basements, the warehouse, and slammer in prime. So yeah, this character is very good and underrated. Which puts him to what? Very good and underrated, A tier. Again, you can farm for this guy. You can farm for this guy. And you can pair this guy with fucking Ghost. One of the goats. Again, we only have 2 more allies left, which is... yeah. We have Vicardon. Vicardon is one of those allies that you can get from what? Alpha coders, right? So deals 1000 area and vulnerability to fire. Very good. Another good vulnerability to fire type of ally. Increase direct fire damage, and the second passive, increase allies crit damage and, health when dealing periodic fire damage. Again, you're using alpha coders, right? And there are already what? There are already a lot of good fire damage in the game. Like for example, Cardinal, right? You already have this. And you already have Romanov, which is free. Which leaves him to C tier. You're not gonna use alpha coders for this guy. And finally, finally you have Alf. Skill is slows down enemies and increases the chance of critical hit on them. And by the way, if they are not hit by this ability right here, they are not gonna get the extra critical hit chance. So, first passive, this is a much weaker version of Moon. Like look, base is 9%, while Alf is only 5%. Of course, extra bonus. And then increase ally critical hit chance. This character itself has a good balanced accuracy reaction, crit hit, and critical damage. That's why it has that. And increased running speed. It this again, this is only good at the global map. Yeah, but again, this character you can get this for free, right? But even though you can get this character for free, you rarely use this. But on a correct combo, you can pair this. You can use this with Ghost and use this to even more crit. I would say, even though this is pretty useless, you can get easily 4-star, 5-star with this. Since this character you can get for free randomly. I would say above here. Yeah. I would say above here. The usefulness of this dog. But yeah. So that's the entirety roster for the current unique allies in Dawn of Zombies. Hope you actually learned something from this because it actually took a while. But yeah. This tier list is very subjective. If ever, it doesn't really matter what you prioritize as long as you are having fun. But yeah, this is the meta that you might want to use them. So, experiment and do whatever to actually have fun and what suits your playstyle. You only upgrade the allies that you want because it's so hard to even get a level 81 ally, which is 5 stars. Now imagine a level 6, a level 120. But yeah, good luck everyone and peace.